Hey everyone, welcome to Homestead Corner. I'm Ginny, and today I wanted to talk about 20 overlooked survival foods that we can all get into our pantry. So today I have got 20 overlooked survival foods that I think are wonderful to have in your pantry. A lot of times we see all these different ideas of what to put in your pantry, and they start off strong with water. Everybody needs water. It is really important, but that's not what this list is about. The water, rice, and beans, we all know those are super important to have in our pantries, but having a little bit more and the more diversity can help us. And sometimes there are things that we can put in there in place of others because we may have allergies or something like that. And these foods are super nutritious and wonderful to have in your pantry for various reasons in an emergency situation. So let's jump in and check out these 20 overlooked survival foods. So the first one on my list is rolled oats. Rolled oats are wonderful. They have all kinds of great nutrition in there. They are excellent for us, and they also store for a super long time, and they are so versatile. You can cook the oats, you can you can use them uncooked in cookies and things like that. You can grind them up for flour, you can make oat milk. They're just tons of options with your rolled oats. I think they are so important. Or oat groats are going to last even longer in your pantry. The more raw form that you can store them in that is dried, they are going to last the longest. I like to store rolled oats and oat groats. I think both of them are really important. The second one on my list is coconut oil. Coconut oil is wonderful because it will sit on the shelf for up to 5 years, and it can withstand those really high temperatures. So when we're cooking in an emergency situation and we've got to use a fire or barbecue or anything like that outside, those really hot temperatures can be difficult with oils. It will burn it up and make it taste awful. So using coconut oil can really help because it can withstand those high temperatures. So coconut oil is a great one for your pantry. And number 3, I hardly hear anybody talk about this, but coconut milk is a wonderful dairy replacement. You can use it in all sorts of things in replace of milk, and it can last on the shelf for years. So I think it is wonderful to have on the shelf. It's has a little bit sweeter taste than milk does, and it's pretty thick, but it's used in tons of Asian dishes, and the shelf stability of it is really great, and I love it for all sorts of things to replace milk in recipes and things like that. It works really well to replace your milks when you don't have any. Number 4 is millet. Millet is something that a lot of people overlook. It's an ancient grain. It is really high in all kinds of nutrients. It's super good for you, and it's gluten-free for people that have a hard time with gluten. You can replace wheat, rice, things like that with it. It really is a great grain to have in your pantry. Number 5, I talk about these a lot because I think they are so important in your pantry, is lentils. Lentils cook up so much faster than beans, but they have that same protein and all those nutrients in there. They're super good for you, and they really don't have any flavor, so they can be incorporated into tons of meals really easily. If you just cook them up ahead of time and have them, chilled in the fridge, or if you decide to can them, they're super easy to can like beans, and you can have them ready to go on the shelf. We like to can them plain and just have them like that, and then we can add seasonings when we get ready to eat it, or it can go into anything that we're cooking to add protein and nutrients to. In a survival situation, I think lentils are wonderful. Even dried, they cook up in about 20 minutes as opposed to 3 or 4 hours like a normal bean does. And number 6 on my overlooked survival foods is nuts and seeds. A lot of people forget about nuts and seeds. They don't have a super long shelf life, but you can freeze them. As long as your freezer is working, you are going to be able to to have them last for years in there. On the shelf, they're not going to last quite as long, but they are wonderful. They're portable, they're easy to carry around, they're lightweight, they're delicious, and those are really give you tons of nutrients. A lot of them have proteins in them, and they really pack a punch in your diet, which is wonderful. So any kind of seeds and nuts, I think, are great to have in your pantry. Number 7 on my list is dehydrated fruits. Fruits are definitely a difficult one for us. There are not a lot of canned fruits that we like. Dehydrated fruits, you can do quite a lot with dehydrated fruits. You can cook with them like you normally do. They're great to just snack on. They last a super long time when they're dehydrated, or freeze-dried would work just as well, depending on your budget. But dehydrated is wonderful because you can do that yourself at home with really not any special equipment. You can use your oven. A dehydrator is a little bit easier, takes a little bit longer, but you don't have to watch it so close and worries that you'll burn it. But dehydrating is a wonderful way to go for those fruits. And number 8 on my list is definitely dehydrated vegetables. That's another one that is wonderful to have on the shelf. Just a quick little scoop, toss it in a soup or a casserole, anything like that. They are wonderful to have. You can mix them up on the shelf, have mixed vegetables in a can. You can have them all individual. However you like to do it, I think they are wonderful like that. Having them can definitely be great because they have a really long shelf life and they pack a punch on nutrients again for you. So dehydrated vegetables is number 8 on my list. Number 9 is something that I talk about a lot, but I don't hear other channels talk about it that much, and that is spices. Spices, spices, spices. Spices are amazing for your pantry. You can change up something a bunch of different ways just by changing the spice. So if you're having beans and rice, if you've got 20 different spices, you can probably change it up 40 different ways by mixing them together, using individual spices, mixes, all sorts of stuff. You can really change it up, and it really helps with food fatigue. And a lot of your spices have excellent medicinal properties that can also help you out in a survival situation. And number 10 on my list is cocoa. I love cocoa, love chocolate. Definitely not something that you have to have as a survival food, but I think it is wonderful to have in there. It's fairly affordable. You can keep it on the shelf for a super long time. It's not going to go rancid. It's dried really well, and you can mix it up a bunch of different ways to make things with it. And it really is one of those comfort things that, you know, it's a morale booster. If you haven't had a sweet in a week and you get a little piece of a brownie or a little bit of chocolate syrup or something like that, it really is going to boost the morale. And I think it's important to have things like that in your survival foods. And number 11 on my list is bouillon cubes or powder. They last indefinitely on the shelf. You want to make sure you're keeping them nice and dry because they will get clumpy, but they're not going to go bad in your pantry. You're just going to have to break them up. It's kind of like sugar. They can get pretty clumpy with humidity and things like that. But if you keep them nice and dry, they are going to last for a super long time in your pantry. And bouillon cubes and powders and things like that, whatever your preferred bouillon is, they are wonderful to really add nutrients and flavor to your food. So, and just a little bit of that can change up your plain old rice or noodles or something like that. So it's wonderful to have those, and they really are small. They don't take up a lot of space. You don't need a lot when you're cooking with it, and it really adds a nice depth of flavor to your foods. Number 12 on my list is powdered eggs, either dehydrated, freeze-dried. You can even use powdered egg replacements. I like the dehydrated or freeze-dried because they do have quite a bit of protein in them. Eggs are wonderful for you, and the powdered eggs are wonderful for baking, scrambled eggs, omelets, anything like that. You're not going to get your hard fried egg, but you'll get all the other stuff that you normally use eggs for, and they are wonderful to have on the shelf. And number 13 on my list is powdered milk. I think powdered milk is wonderful in the pantry. It is so useful. So many recipes call for milk, and you can mix it up and have it ready to go in no time. I really like the instant milk and the non-fat milk because the non-fat milks are going to last a lot longer on your shelf than the full-fat milks are. And number 14, Jell-O. It's a simple, easy snack and is wonderful to have. Again, not a necessary item in your survival foods, but it's really small and compact and makes a nice comfort food when you need a little something sweet. And number 15 on my list is quinoa. I think it is great. You can replace rice with it. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. Kind of like couscous. You can use either one of those pretty much interchangeably in a lot of recipes. There are lots of things you can do with it. And quinoa is going to last on the shelf for a super long time, decades, when stored properly, cool, dark, dry, and airtight. And number 16 on my list doesn't have the longest shelf life, but it is wonderful to have on the shelf, and that is jerky, summer sausage, things like that. Those dried meats are absolutely wonderful because they can sit on the shelf and they really pack a punch with nutrition. They've got all that protein in them and iron, and they're just really great for you. We love jerky as a snack, and I think it is wonderful to have in your survival foods because it's lightweight and easy to take with you if you have to. And number 17 on my list is pink salmon. Canned pink salmon is so wonderful on the shelf. It has all those omega-3s, high protein, super easy to cook with. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. It's really versatile. And a lot of people go for tuna, but the pink salmon isn't quite as pungent. And I think it is wonderful to have on the shelf. You can really do tons of different things with it. And number 18, protein bars and protein powders. I don't hear a lot about those, and they don't have the longest shelf life on them, but they are wonderful for quick protein intake. The protein bars are great to take on the go. The powders you can put in smaller containers and, seal them up in bags or whatever, small Mylar bags, so they're easy to take with you as well. All you have to do is add water or milk, and you've got yourself a nice little delicious drink that's going to help you when you need that extra energy. And number 19 is hardtack or pemmican. Those are both super long shelf life. They're things you can make yourself that are going to last and last and last in your pantry indefinitely. They found these things that were hundreds of years old and actually still edible. So I think they're important if you can, put these together and make them. The hardtack is super simple and easy. It really doesn't take much ingredients. I've done a video on that before, and I will link it down below in the description if you're interested in that. And pemmican is another one that you can make yourself at home. It's got meat in it and all sorts of things, nuts, so it is super high in protein and will give you the energy you need in an emergency situation. You really need to look at how much energy you're going to get out of your food, high proteins, high carbs, things like that, to keep you going when you need all that extra energy. On my list of overlooked survival foods is instant coffee. I love coffee. It really helps get me going. It, soothes me in the morning when I wake up and I'm a cranky old sea hag. And I just really love having my coffee. It is a comfort thing for me, and I just love it. And it helps give me the energy I need to boost myself up to get through the day. So instant coffee is definitely something we should all have on our shelves. It's pretty affordable, and it is freeze dried and is going to last indefinitely. It's not going to go bad as long as it's sealed up. So having that on the shelf is a must for me. And if you have an overlooked food that you think is a must-have in your survival foods, put it in the comments down below. It really is helpful for other people, and someone may find their new favorite food or find something that they never thought of to get into their pantry that could really help them. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!